I'm Jeffrey Sweeney, Chairman and CEO of US Capital Global. Have been now for 25 years at least. And I have with us one of our lead bankers, was David, in Miami. And David, how long have you been with us now?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. 2.5 years. Seems like forever in a good way.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here. Yeah.
And we've been working together a lot on opportunities. But your background, you were in tax lawyer,
Tax and securities.
Yeah.
Right, and then practiced for a couple years. Then went voluntarily inactive.
So you're what's known as a recovering attorney.
That's correct.
You're in recovery.
Yes, I'm in recovery. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very much. But the legal background has helped to understand the deal, understand the paperwork, which is part of the closing documents and everything that we need for.
And then, but you're pretty international, right? You travel a lot in your last your past life, right?
Yeah, I've lived outside the country. I've lived in Taiwan. I've lived in the Netherlands, and then just built this, and then traveled extensively throughout the world.
So you have a good cultural sensitivity to other locations, I noticed, because you have a lot of opportunities and relationships all over the world.
More of them are outside the United States than inside the United States.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
because I know we're on a lot of calls from various regions.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we've been working on all those deals together. So.
Yeah. No, I'm always happy to get on a call and find out what people are. I'm just fascinated by people's businesses and business models and things like that. And I pay really close attention because I'm interested, right?
Yeah.
And then we see a lot of really fun stuff. We just did that. What was that one we're doing? The one in Australia, right?
Infinite Green Energy.
Infinite Green Energy.
Yeah.
Nice name.
Yes, right. Yeah.
But they're hydrogen, kind of a hydrogen-related group, right?
Yep. Green hydrogen.
Green hydrogen.
Yep. Background, the pedigree is like Baker Hughes and oil and gas, and now they've transitioned into this green hydrogen. And then
it looks like you're bringing Baker Hughes in to do an investment in the deal.
That's right, yeah.
That's good. That'll be a good marquee investor. So that's really good. But you've been in conversations with the CIO over there?
Managing director.
MD?
Yeah.
So, I mean, with your experience and what you've done, it's easy for you to relate to the C-suite in these companies, which is really helpful.
Yeah, but historically I've been just involved in like C-suite discussions, and so I feel like very comfortable. I worked in-house for a publicly traded company and essentially reported to the CFO, and I had to give daily updates. We did this deal that was like 2.5 years in Australia out of Boca Raton. So they just had an operation. They did a design, development, and then a servicing of that facility. So.
And then and now your daughter, you got her you shipped her offshore, right?
Shipped her offshore. She's in the Netherlands.
Yeah, is it math or what?
She's studying European archaeology.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. Well, we met up a year and a half ago or something in London.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. We had. Thank you, by the way.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. And we had at the Arts Club. We had that dinner. It was.
Yeah. Your daughter's very nice. Well, anyway, what else have we been working on? We had that oil and gas deal in Texas we worked on. We kind of worked that guy. We got that guy in pretty good shape for that offering.
That's right, and we have a new health tech fund. It's going to be Dubai-based.
Is Dubai-based, and then and we happen to that event right in early June. They're coming to that.
They want to come to that. Yes.
Okay. All right. They need to sign up right away. By the way.
Yeah.
Because you have to plan those things. You can't.
Sure.
It's hard to do them at the last minute. That's cool. What's the health tech? What are they?
Portfolio. They have one portfolio company as a platform, and it really just takes all this data between like primary care and like routes it to like a specialist and like in this real time. So it's pretty interesting. That's one of the platform. But they have other portfolio. It's all within the tech space. Yeah.
And they want to have they have it in the U.S. They have a fund here. Or they want to have it there?
No, they want to have like a hold company, a hold co out in Dubai.
A hold co in Dubai, and where do they want to invest?
They want to bring in investors out of that region.
Yeah.
And then also feed into the U.S. Okay. And maybe into Europe as well.
Yeah, there's a kind of emerging health tech vertical in the UAE.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. There's quite a lot of activity there. but I talked quite a bit with Ahmed about that. Oh, that's cool. Well,
and there's some new deals that are coming up that working with.
And you work with Mitch quite a bit up in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a good team player. You know, you work well in the company. You know, everybody likes you, and you you like interface well with the other bankers and stuff like that. So it's really appreciated.
It's part of that, like, the philosophy that you're going to get the deal in, and then you're going to service. So, like, for me, the corporate philosophy, like, it's the corporate philosophy I'm in line with, because it's about serving. I was thinking about this as I was driving back home last night, like, why am I doing this? Like, or why do I do anything? And it's really because it drives from, like, taking care of, like, making sure that I service, provide the service, I do an excellent job, and I'm really passionate about it. And then working with other team members can be team members in Miami, like, for instance, Michael Carpinello, or it can be, other Mitch Cohen.
Mitch is really good.
Can be Ponkosh, Lisa, and just other. I view it as just really the maximizing our ability to take care of a client.
It's a pretty good team, and then you can pick some different players to participate depending on what the transaction looks like. You can kind of select from the bench.
Yeah.
And you can play different bankers into the deal that kind of support your role.
Exactly right, yeah.
And then a pretty flat organization too, because there's not a lot of middle management. So you talk to me, or you talk to Charles, or Pankaj, you can get right to the decision makers pretty easy.
Well, I would notice one thing about you, Jeffrey. Like, every time I ping you, whether it's on a Saturday or it's on a Monday evening in whatever time zone, you always pick up or you respond.
And most if I'm not sleeping, I'll respond.
Yeah, if you're not sleeping. So I try to pick those times.
But I'm available most business hours, but I travel quite a bit. But I try to be responsive because, well, look, you're very respectful about when you do reach out. It's something, it's a relatively focused question. It's something that needs to help move the deal forward. So it's not a distraction. So I'm happy to do it. But it is pretty accessible, and then you have quite a bit of autonomy in your area too. It's not like you're micromanaged from San Francisco or something.
No, but I think that we have really, like in Miami, like a lot of bankers that are organized, and they know they're on top of the deals, and they don't need a lot of micromanagement. At the same time, they do need to interface directly with yourself, with Charles Tao, as the case may be, right? And Pankaj on compliance. So. Yeah.
Well, it's because, like yourself, I mean, you could tell by we talked earlier, you're like a seasoned professional, right? And we bring those guys in. You don't need to micromanage seasoned professionals. You maybe share a little bit of our technique and what our approach is. But you quick study, you understand what we're doing. You need a question, you get it answered pretty fast. And you can't micromanage a professional because we're an entrepreneurial organization. So we attract people that have like entrepreneurial DNA.
Yeah.
And you have to support that.
That's right. Exactly. Just on the way down here, I was on a call with the sponsor of Infinite Green Energy, and I feel it's a comfort zone. We're talking, and it's very transparent. He calls me all the time, by the way. So it is one of those things where you have to manage the deal and also but manage the client relationship. I feel very comfortable just in that.
Yeah, we've done a pretty good job for those guys.
Very good. The company has done an excellent job from the top down in terms of support, marketing, team approach. That's all there.
Yeah.
And so I think you create all optionality for one to succeed as a banker.
And then we helped them close. We've helped them close some investors too that were like hovering around like a moth to flames, right? But oftentimes we get involved. And then we can kind of get a little bit of focus for the investors. A lot of guys that hadn't really landed on the deal yet, we help them get into the deal. And I think that's something we see a lot. I'm not sure that the clients in the beginning realize that, but it's hard to pitch to your aunt, But if we pitch to them, your aunt will probably invest.
That's right.
Because there's a certain degree of confidence that's built by having an investment banker, on the deal. And it does push investors over the line to come in. They go, oh, okay, these guys, they're okay now. I feel more confident in investing. I see that happen all the time.
Well, and I think it's because of the history. Like you started the company, 25, 26 years ago. We've done $5 billion in total transactions, debt, equity, and credit. It speaks to like the process internally that we have, and then the discussion. So one thing that happens, and I constantly get feedback from sponsors, is your process really helped me to understand my business where nobody really. So there's definitely a value that they're a component to it. So when they're expensing something, it looks like, even on the diligence side, it's a loss in some ways, right? It's an expense, but it really is an asset because they're getting a total understanding of the business, which otherwise they may not have had. And I think that it's
I think the other thing we can do, sometimes we can help people focus on certain parts of their business. They might have their strategy may be a little bit diluted, right?
Yeah.
And then by them coming to us for capital, we can look and say, knowing investors, they're really going to want to hear about this part of the story. This is really going to drive a lot of interest. So maybe we should focus on that, and then we follow on later with these other very interesting things. But if you have 6 interesting things to do, it's not quite as good as having one thing that's interesting you execute on, and then a pipeline of 5 more.
right.
And that, I think it's been helpful to people.
Yeah, it has. And again, the mentoring is all there, and like getting on calls. So I take a lot of the calls myself. When I first started at US Capital, we were on a lot of calls together, and that's an enormous resource. So like somebody coming in, it's an easy entry point to get into it.
Yeah.
The investor side of it is a whole other thing on the distribution.
Well, we talk to a lot of investors.
Yeah.
So we talk to investors. So when we talk to the issuer, it's easy to go, this is the kind of things investors like.
Yeah, exactly.
And they go, really? Okay, we can do that. Because we do a lot of that. So we act as a good educational channel for them to kind of show what's going to get most traction for their offering. And they're appreciative of that stuff.
They are, and they ask this question all the time. And if you don't understand, like if somebody doesn't understand the deal, and they're not going to understand exactly what the investor's looking for, and then it's just a waste of time. So it's exactly the approach, like understanding exactly, is this a strategic investor? Is this an institution that's going to come in? Is
economic investor.
Economic investor,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think that's the difference maker, because I've been doing investment banking for, 18 years or so, and the difference maker here is that it's multi-layered, right? It's a holistic approach towards the service and the end result, which is...
Well, you have to keep the investor in mind, and you got to keep because ultimately you want people to give you money. And if you want that, you really need to think, well, what do they want, and does this opportunity deliver what they want? And if that's true, then the next question is, how can I present it in a way the investor can understand that?
Yeah, that's right.
So there's another little art to that too, where you try to get the interest aligned, so everybody's interests are aligned. But then you have to be able to sell it. You have to be able to describe it in a way where they can see their interest in the deal. And there's a little bit to that. You're good at it.
Well, I try to, I also am a good listener, and I think that listening is initially coming on.
What did you say? What?
What I heard you say is. But it works, Jeffrey. No, I mean, the process works in earnest here. Like if you follow along and go through the process at US Capital and ask the right questions and gather the right information, you understand the deal, right? Because if we get all the information and we don't feel like we have a network for it, or we don't feel like we can sell it, then the deal probably is not going to...
Yeah. We'll tell them. We'll circulate it a bit to test interest.
Yeah.
Within regulatory bounds, we can do that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, David.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Great.